Hello and welcome. My name is John Sands, and today we're going to talk about everything data literacy. And I have with me today two data literacy pioneers. Now, these people have written a book. The book is called Data Literacy in Practice. They have lectured across the world, from the US to the Netherlands on this. So they've got a lot more experience than me. I know them very well. I'll introduce them as Kevin Hanegan and Angelica Klidas. Welcome, both of you, to this session. Just so everyone can know who you are. I'm sure there are some people out there that don't know who you are. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Angelica, if you want to kick off.
Oh, hi. So my name is Angelica Klidas. I'm from the Netherlands in a small city called Horen, just above Amsterdam. I work for Bitmetric in Aalsmeer, that's near to Schiphol. I'm 61 years old, almost. Grandmother of little Dean, and I have 3 children, and I teach as well at the University of Applied Sciences in my spare time. And I love data and insights creating from data.
Excellent. Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, John. Kevin Hanegan. I am based in the United States on the East Coast in Massachusetts is the name of the state. Currently, I work at Click, a data and analytics company. And just like Angelica, I teach at a couple of universities on data and analytics as well. When I'm not doing that, I have 4 boys, which keep me busy all of the time, every time. And similar to Angelica, just passionate about data literacy, decision making, and everything in between.
Fantastic. So you've written this book, as I said, Data Literacy in Practice. Just, Kevin, tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, the book is organized around this 4-pillar framework Angelica actually created that talks about the different components needed to increase data literacy. So it talks about organizational data literacy, it talks about data management, it talks about data analytics, and it talks about education. And I think why it's unique is there's lots of content out there on data literacy that kind of says maybe a little bit about the why, but it really doesn't go deep and say, okay, how can you increase data literacy as an individual? How can you increase at an organization? What are the skills required? What are some case studies that have been done? What are some best practices? So throughout the book and the 4 pillars, it talks a little bit about theory, but it's more about real stories, what customers have done, how you can apply this and increase your data literacy and go on that journey with it, both again as an individual, but then from an organizational component as well.
It is a very important subject, and my time previously at Click, it was started off a long time ago, wasn't it, when we spoke or started looking at data literacy and why it's important. But personally, I think it's actually gained a lot more momentum now because we are storing so much more. I mean, in the book, you mentioned a ridiculous figure, which I can't even remember. God knows how many zeros there are on the end of it. So we're storing so much. So the challenge is going to be, I think, understanding what that data is so you can make, data-driven decisions. So when an organization starts looking at data literacy or improving their data literacy, what are some of the challenges, Angelica, that they actually that they come up against?
Well, when an organization is more working according to a plan, it could be possible that they are thinking about the organizational part of data literacy and create a plan, sponsorships, and safeguard the people from the organization that they can actually learn. I experienced, by the way, this somewhat area in a municipality in Canada, where I teach 3 times a year virtually about data literacy. It's the city of Vaughan. But I think, we have the 4 pillars, and I think the 4 pillars are not sequentially, so 1, 2, 3, sequentially to be implemented. That's not necessary, because what I see in practice is that people just organizations start with a beautiful tool, work with data, create insights, try to work on their decision-making force. And then suddenly think, oh, we need data management or we need data modeling tools. Oh, by the way, we need a plan as well. Oh, we have to educate. So it usually goes crisscross, and that's no problem at all. Right? But it can be, the challenges is that they don't know how to start, or they just start and don't know how to grow. Because, you have to think of plan, educate, your tools, your data management, data quality, garbage in is garbage out. And those elements, I think you have to work on, right, Kevin?
Absolutely. Like you said, everyone starts at different places, and that's totally fine. It's just a lot of places will maybe uber focus on one and not the other pillars, and that's where they kind of fall down, is they don't either understand what the other pillars are and how to do them, or they're so focused on technology or so focused on data management they forget about the organizational component. So completely agree.
So Angelica, we talk a lot about decision making and how important that is. Can being more data literate help? Can it improve your decision making?
Definitely, if you are able to read, understand, criticize, ask questions, argue with your insights, the content around it, but also what am I looking at? What is this? Do I have enough contextual information around the graph or the visualization that you see? So yeah, I think when we are able to read and argue with the insights, we can improve our decision making, our data informed decisions. And it's all about working together. We do this in our daily lives, for example. I wrote about it in the book. Everybody has a phone. And how do we book a journey nowadays? We go to Airbnb to book an apartment or a house or an apartment somewhere in a beautiful city or in a beautiful area. We set up parameters, we do our filtering, we look at the stars, at the reviews, we discuss it with each other, and at home we make a data-informed decision. Why don't we at the business?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about, right, Kev?
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is a lot of times people think data literacy, they think, obviously the first word data, they think numbers, they think spreadsheets, but when you're making a data-informed decision, to Angelica's point, you want to make sure, are you asking the right question? Are you answering the question that's being asked? Are you getting different perspectives? Are you challenging your assumptions? Are you mitigating any bias that you have? And all of those things are related to data literacy, but they're not technical skills. If you just do those things, if you get different perspectives, if you read and analyze and work with, but just don't take it at face value, do some critical thinking. To me, it all sums up to is you really have to apply critical thinking across the spectrum of making decisions. And that's what data literacy is about, is teaching us not to take things at face value and politely question and be curious about them.
And that's also having a good knowledge of your business as well, isn't it? Knowing that being data literate, it also involves knowing what that piece of data means. And that can be a very business focused thing as well, having understanding of the data. Am I right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's all about, today I had the same story with the customer again. Okay, I told him, you are working from a central team. You should be multidisciplinary because you have specialists in visualizing, specialists in data management, specialists in data integration. But why don't you add extra hours in your project plan just for implementing and explaining the use cases to your users, to your end users, so they understand what they are looking at? What questions are answered with the visualization that they have created? So implementing and should be a part of your project, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm a one-man band, or maybe 5, 6 people, doesn't matter really. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, this is all for big corporate organizations with thousands of people and loads of data. It's not, it's not for me. What do you say to that person, Angelica?
Data literacy is for everybody. If you are at home, taking care of your bank account things, your shopping, making decisions, booking journeys or shop, but also in the businesses. I think from one point on, everybody, every organization should have data literacy embraced from top to bottom in different levels. And the amount of knowledge that you have to gain depends on the seat that you are on in your organization.
Does having more data make it more difficult?
Yeah, but you have to think about your data strategy. If you are just collecting or designing visualization because you have the data, then you're not taking care of the data goals, of the goals of your organization. So yeah, those should always align.
Okay. So I'm a very curious person. I ask questions. I want to know answers, and sometimes my whole journey through those answers and questions can change. And I use this wonderful word that I heard from Gartner, bifurcate. It can change, it can move, it can branch. How important is it to always be actively curious when you're looking at this data?
Absolutely critical. I mean, it relates to the critical thinking aspect of it. Is you use an analogy. You have a temperature. You're running a temperature. You might take some medicine to stop the temperature, but if it keeps coming back, you're innately curious as what do I have? What's the root cause? I want to find something else. I don't just treat the symptom. In business, I feel like we tend to just be complacent with not being curious. Here's the symptom. Let's treat it. And we don't look underlying at the patterns and the trends. And if we're curious, it's going to help us innovate. It's going to help us make better decisions because we're not just routinely treating the symptoms. We're actually finding those root causes and finding out more things and getting more perspectives to drill in and really to do that. And the only way to do that is if you're curious, if you ask why. Just like us as kids, we all ask why, and then I feel like we kind of stop asking. So it's great that you still ask that. I find a lot of organizations, they don't like when people ask why. They just want to kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, the answers that this and that's it. None of the questioning. The answer is 42, but no more questions, please.
We had a discussion yesterday about on iMessage, right? Because I found on Twitter, because I'm always searching for strange visualizations or visualizations that are bad. And yesterday I found another one, and I sent it to Kevin, and I said, "What do you think of this one?" Well, the first answer was, well, we suck at working for Corona, right? Like protecting our people. And then on the other side, if you look a little bit further, we saw a dramatic line going down. And then I thought, but why is the y-axis starting at 74 when it ends at 80? Then you get always a dramatic view, right?
Mm.
And those things we love to discuss, but these are the things that we should question. We do not have to take things for granted, and that is what's happening all around us.
So, are you finding, looking at this market, and in the process of writing the book, and I'm presuming you never actually get to the end really, because there's always other stuff coming along. What kind of emerging trends are you finding out there?
Well, for me, it's and I love the fact that data literacy is there, that everybody is aware of it, and that that most people that I talk to, they understand what it is and they want to continue with it. So the trends that I see coming is that we even have now serious gaming when it comes to data analysis and learning how to analyze and work together to make that data informed decision. But also, the tools provided with amazing technologies, right, Kev?
Absolutely. One of the things we're seeing a lot now is more and more companies, all the different sizes, are using artificial intelligence and machine learning. It used to be before you needed a team of data scientists. Now the technology has evolved to the point of you can use low code, no code solutions. But as it relates to data literacy, it's even more important that those companies that are using what they call augmented analytics is combining the power of AI machine learning with the power of data literacy. So it's not that necessarily people are nervous technology is taking over their job. What is happening is those jobs are altering to be more data literate, to let's look at the results of machine learning. Let's understand if there's any bias. Let's train the data properly. Let's see if we're looking at the root cause and not the symptom. So if anything, it's giving more prominence to data literacy to work in tandem with machine learning as opposed to machine learning kind of replacing the human element.
I think that's been an issue from the 70s, hasn't it, with robots taking over their jobs. There's always something there, and you're right. I think it's a tool to help you do more in another way as things change. Well, Kevin and Angelica, thank you so much for taking the time out and being part of this interview. It's fascinating for me to see what you're doing. Long may it continue. And let's hope we do another one of these, because right before this interview, we were getting rid of questions because we didn't have the time to go through. So I think that's a good chance to maybe come back and do part 2 of this interview. So take care, and it's been fantastic to meet you both.
Thank you.
Likewise,
John.
thanks.